International A&R is what we're talking about today. Patchworking the globe. How has this role changed in 2009? We'll introduce ourselves. I'm Steve Hume. I run Pasha Recordings. Before that, I used to run Subliminal Records. Yeah, that's about it for me. Let's start over here. Let's see who's who.
I'm Mark Knight. I run Touring Records.
Tim Pins, New State Entertainment.
David Waxman, Ultra Records.
Pauli Steinbach, Cocoon Recordings.
Juan Vandervoort, K7.
Kenneth Bager, Music for Dreams, Copenhagen, Denmark.
So, we've got a nice array of countries sat at this table, so, we should get some nice answers. A&R, traditionally, sign an artist, sign a record, have a hit record, and all go home happy. What do we do today? Mark, over at Tool Room, you set out creating a brand that people can trust. People buy a Tool Room record because it's a Tool Room record. And these days, you're signing artists to that label. Is it because they trust the Tool Room, or are you going out seeking these people? What's going on?
Well, we had a completely different model to when we set up. We never come from that era of get a checkbook up and sign big records. We was about building a brand, and a core roster of artists. And even since day one, I chased the artists for their production values, not their names. So it's slightly different to us, and I think where we are now is because we did that. We never went out chasing artists. They've now come to us, which I think is the best way.
Mm-hmm. Them who don't know, Tool Room just, took on the new Faithless album, which, it's massive. Faithless traditionally associated, with mega money, mega albums, touring. Is Tool Room set up to deliver that same kind of platform for Faithless?
Well, yeah, I like to think we are. We're growing organically, and that's very much part of the process. So, yeah, we have plans in place.
Yeah, it's a great story, coming from where you've come, to have those kind of artists on the label. Tim, you kind of sit in both camps a little bit. You're an independent record label, but you're a satellite also of EMI, or there's some kind of connection there. What's your game plan? Is it singles? Guru Joss was probably one of the biggest singles of last year in any genre. Certainly the biggest dance-selling single. Is your game plan singles, albums, compilations? What is it?
Bit of everything, really. We have one label that's part of EMI, and that was set up 10 years ago to drive content for EMI's compilation albums, but the remit has changed slightly, and the way the label is focused and set up has changed considerably. We looked out and signed DJ Tiesto 10 years ago and managed to get 4 artist albums out of the guy. So, it's kind of, it didn't really go down the one-off route that we kind of expected it to do. Admittedly, we picked up some one-off singles along the way, but essentially it turned into a more artist-focused label that we ran as an independent label, but was actually part of EMI. But again, that's changed since as well in terms of the way that we sign music, and we're kind of now focusing more on signing music to our own labels. Because of the way that the landscape has changed within major record companies.
Again, for those that don't know, and Tim, in the UK he carries compilations like from Creamfields and God's Kitchen, Bugged Out,
Pasha,
Tiesto, so obviously doing something right, because all those good brands, going to Tim. Is it because you get it and you can stick it into that major slipstream, or do you take them albums and do them independently? Do they go into your major deal?
No, all the compilations that we do now are purely from our own arse pocket, and as an independent label. So we're working independently with Cream, God's Kitchen, Bugged Out, Pasha, etc. And I don't know, maybe it's because we're willing to take more of a risk than a major label would be, and actually put out some more kind of like niche focused compilations. Yeah.
Guru Joss, I'll just keep on you a minute. Guru Joss, how did that come about? You know, classic record. But Guru Joss was fitting satellite systems in Ibiza, and all of a sudden he's number 1 again.
Number 3, but you know, not far
Number
off.
3. So, there we go.
It was a record that was around, I guess, since Miami 2008, and a lot of DJs started playing it, and no one actually picked up on it in the UK. And I was out on the road with Tiesto, and we went to God's Kitchen Global Gathering, and he played it there. And the following day we were in Sunrise Festival in Poland, and he played it there. And the day after that we were in a club in Italy, and he played it there, and it got the same reaction in every club. So that was kind of like, actually, you know what, this can work anywhere, so let's sign it. It was, you know, traditional kind of old school,
So that's some
big
kind of
record,
traditional
A&R. Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's the sound. Cool.
And we picked it up fairly reasonably and took it to radio. And, you know, the thing that pushed it over the edge in the UK radio was the fact that it had, I think, over 5 million hits on YouTube by the time we took it to radio. So that obviously played a massive part. And, you know, it's gone on to have 52 million hits on YouTube worldwide, which is no mean feat. You know, unfortunately, we only had the record for the UK. But, you know, it got us over a hump, definitely.
So a bit of traditional A&R and new technology all combined is, you know, maybe this is the way forward. David says from Ultra in America, they're probably the most successful compilation and dance record label in America for years. Extremely active on digital and physical. What's your game plan, Dave? I mean, I always think of Ultra. There's a big hit in Europe, it goes to Ultra in America. Or do you go out and find the hits and then sell them back to Europe now?
Well, there are two aspects that way. Yeah, we do pick up the big hits, the big European and UK chart-topping records, but we also do a lot of development in the company, developing artists such as Cascade, who is now becoming international, smaller up-and-coming DJs and producers like Cedric Gervais or Nick Terranova and Austin Leeds. But so there's kind of there are two sides to it. We do have the singles that are chart-topping. They're great for our compilations, but then we also have the artist albums that we do license in, such as Tiesto or David Guetta or Armin van Buuren.
For you, are you picking up singles to drive your compilations, or are you picking up a catalogue and driving the compilations with the name Ultra? I mean, are people in America buying Ultra compilations, or are they buying hit-driven compilations?
Well, we do have ultra-branded compilations that the brand itself is definitely selling on its own, because we've done some lower-level ones without the big hit-driven track listings. But we do license in the hits, more specifically for the comps, because at the end of the day, they are more just singles. They're single-based records. They're not really artist-driven.
A&R-wise, I mean, are you looking at music are you out in the clubs, and listening to like new DJs and going, oh, okay, I'll take that, or are you looking at the cool cuts on the buzz charts over here? Where's your first port of call for A&R?
It's your contacts, your network is your net's worth, really. So you're really trying to find the next up and coming guy before they are that level that you have to.
Is music being delivered to you on a plate because you are Ultra, or are you actively just out in the clubs, like Tim saying, with the Guru Joss, he was on the road of Tiesto, and Record reacted, he took it, a bit of old-fashioned A&R, it's brilliant. Ultras, is that what you guys are doing, or is it just landing on your table because you're kind of the only game in town in America?
No, I mean, we're the only game in town because we work hardest. It's not like it just is delivered to us on a silver platter. We still go out and work hard for it and research hard for it, go to the clubs, go to the festivals, listen to the DJs, make the phone calls. It's not just, open our arms and here it comes,
Okay. Music for Dreams, what's that all about?
I started out as kind of like an E&R late 80s and did a label where we signed stuff for Scandinavia like KLF, Shaman, Moby, and then I went on to work for EMI where I had a string of hits and sold 4 million records, and then I decided why give the money to EMI? I would start an independent myself. So we started this in 2001, and of course I didn't have that much money, so I had to build up the house brick by brick. And today the idea is that we have compilations, which is kind of like bit Balearic, very different to the big compilations. And we built up a brand which kind of like different material, and we are a catalog and artist-driven label, and we treat each artist individually, and we sign artists. One of our ways to survive is to keep the artist how they should be perceived and do maybe major album deals. Like we just signed a deal last year with a singer-songwriter for Sony, and I've got my own album coming out on Universal in the UK. And we still maintain the branding we do for the label, which is the same with the major. It has a name on the back like Columbia or Universal on the back, but it's the same if it's on Sony or Universal. It looks exactly the same as it's coming from my distributor.
So major label is a massive part in your game plan, or is it just the checkbook that you benefit from?
No, we try to treat each artist individually, and we see if we can take it to one level, then we can do as much as we can, and then we try and take it to the next level where it could be you have an artist where you think, oh, this can really work on a bigger scale, then we try to upstream it. And we do, when we do deals, like for example, we do a deal now with Ultra, then we have in one part of the deal is that, you know, if it becomes that and that's successful, then we can upstream it to another major label together.
So as a dance record, don't need the major, but when it becomes a pop record, essential.
Yes, and that's what I always look for. I always look for something that's got potential to start in the underground, because I come from the underground clubs, and then it could be maybe big in the end.
Mm-hmm.